Assalamu alaikum, family, peace, healing, and light, and welcome back to another episode of Healing with Angelica's podcast, where we discuss all things healing. And of course, if you are new to the show, welcome, beautiful souls. On today's broadcast, we have a special guest joining us today, student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, content creator and social media tech influencer, my brother King Kim, as we'll be discussing today's topic. What is the role of the black man to break generational curses? Brother King Cam, welcome and thank you so very much for joining me today. How are you?
I am well. Thank you, Sister Angelica, for the invite to come on to such a beautiful and well esteemed and established platform such as this. I'm certainly honored to have the opportunity to come before your audience and speak and share a few words of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught and exemplified by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I'm excited and I can't wait to get started.
Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah. Such a pleasure to have you here on the show today. Now, before we get started on today's show, I do know there is a lot of people that do know of you. However, for the viewers who don't know Brother King Cam, do you mind letting our audience know more about you?
Well, I am simply your brother. I spend a lot of time pushing the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on social media. So, that's the bulk of the work. I also work in the tech industry. So, I also help a lot of people who may be struggling financially to get into a new industry that's helping to change the realities of a lot of people's financial situation by being able to work from home, but having some high paying salaries through the tech industry. But I'm also in the student ministry class here in the mighty Muhammad Maz 15 under the leadership of Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad. I am your brother, just working in the cause of Allah to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And a great work it is. All praises is due to Allah. Now, let's get started on today's topic. What is the role of the black man to break generational curses? A healing journey of accepting responsibility for self and our nation. And please, for my audience today, I always ask this, do not let me be the only one asking questions. This is your opportunity. Please, if you have any question for my beloved brother King Cam, please do not hesitate to put any questions you have in the comment box below. Inshallah, we'll try to get to those questions. So, I have been wanting to touch on this topic, brother King Cam, for a while.
yeah.
Now, because I have a child of my own and me being a single mom, I started to understand the importance and value of proper courtship, marriage, and a stronger family foundation. And also how knowing your role as a black woman and a black man is vital. So that brings me to my first question for you, Brother King Cam. Now, how does the black man play a role in the development of a strong nation, helping to break generational curses?
That is such a powerful question, such a loaded question with so much to unpack. I'm going to do my best to try to break it down, as simple as possible. What is the role of the black man in breaking the generational curses? And it's simply to be an example. We read in the Holy Quran that the men are maintainers and protectors of women. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in a lecture that he gave to the youth, laid out 12 leadership traits that a well-made man should have, and Student Minister Nuri Muhammad highlights them in his book. And I want to read something from that book that I think will help us understand the question, is if that's okay with you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, ma'am. So in that book, in a message delivered to the youth leadership in Philadelphia, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught 12 unique leadership traits. If we commit to working diligently to incorporate these traits into our personal integrity and operational standards, we will be successful. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is our example, the best example in everything we do as men. He is impeccable in his manners and in his actions. He acts with integrity and he never surrenders his faith and commitment to the divine teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, no matter the challenge or opposition internally or externally.
Mm,
So I think when we talk about what is the role of men in breaking those generational curses, then being the example set before us through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is how we break those generational curses.
mm,
Because we see that he is impeccable in his manners and in his actions. He acts with integrity and never surrenders his faith and commitment in the divine teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So that's extremely, extremely important. We have to have integrity, brothers. So that means that we have to act in accord with our nature, which is righteousness. So
mm.
that means we can't be, running around here saying things, not following through. We know that our word is bond and bond is life. And
Mm.
I should give my life before my word shall fail. We say that a lot, but are we really holding to that? That's integrity. We
Yes.
know things come up. We know you may say something and life be lifing. So when life be lifing and you're not able to follow through on what it is that you had already set up, then it's communication is key.
Mm.
Getting on the phone, shooting a text message to whoever or whomever, communication is key so that you can rearrange, reschedule, work out whatever it is that you had set up. But that's all operating within integrity. We have to be able to maintain and provide for that which we have set up. So that is our families, regardless of the circumstances. Brothers, we got to make sure that we stepping up to the plate, you know, whether you are in a successful relationship or you have children that you have to take care of, you have to step up to the plate. That's just the reality of the situation. And that's the example of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You can't go around here talking about you follow the minister, you a FOY. And the reason why I said follow the minister or an FOY is because
Mm.
if you're following the teachings and the example of the minister, whether you're registered or not registered, the example is still applicable to you.
Yes.
If you're not registered, doesn't mean that you get to run around and claim the minister when you want to claim him, but you're not living the life that the minister has set forth. And then, of course, for those brothers who are registered and are in the military and are an FOY, then you understand that we are supposed to be militant. We're supposed to be honest. We're supposed to be disciplined. These are supposed to be characteristics of us. And if we're going to break generational curses, then we have to be finding ourselves in accordance and obedience with those. So the example is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and striving to fulfill all of those different areas that's necessary for us to be successful.
Woo! All praises is due to Allah. Beautiful answer. Oh my gosh, I love that. And as you was talking, I was thinking about just the fact of, life, like you said, be lifing. And sometimes, things happen and we can kind of get a little steered away off our path. And I'm just speaking on the sense of just personal experiences. But we all go through that.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I want to ask you because, man, since I've joined the Nation of Islam, the most beautiful thing that I love about it is the brotherhood and the sisterhood, because even when I'm falling short, I have my sisters behind me that has my back and will pull me up when I'm feeling down. So, do you mind just talking about the importance of brotherhood when it comes to holding your brother accountable when your brother may be going through some things so he can make sure that he's on his deen?
Absolutely. I mean, that is the duty, of us as brothers and sisters, whether you in the nation or not in the nation of Islam. You wanna make sure that you are holding, those who are in your circle that you call your friends or your homeboys or your homegirls. You want to be holding them accountable to a particular standard. we all understand right from wrong. We understand what's to be expected, what's not to be expected. So, if you operating on the principles of trying to be good, trying to do the right thing, then you want to enjoin others to truth.
Mm,
That's what the Holy Quran says. You want to enjoin others to truth and to righteousness. What does that mean? That means you want to invite those to righteousness and to do good things and the things that you know that are right and proper to do. So if you got a homegirl that you know that's wilding, or you got a homeboy that you know that's wilding, then you need to pull their coattail as a real friend, because that's what a real friend is gonna do. They're not gonna go along to get along. They're not gonna, ride with you in your madness. They're not gonna pat you on the back or dap you up when you out here acting other than yourself. They're gonna tell you, hey, this is not the right thing to do. I'm not gonna roll with you on that.
mm,
And that's holding each other accountable. And of course, being in the Nation of Islam as an FOY and MGT, and understanding how we supposed to carry ourselves at home and abroad, how we supposed to act in public, how we supposed to act on social media. We've been given guidebooks. We've been given a restrictive law of Islam, which is our success, that helps us to keep our behavior in accordance with the law. So
mm,
when you see somebody that's acting outside of the accordance of the law in which we was given, then it's your duty as a brother and sister to pull alongside them and be just a reminder.
mm,
Don't be self-righteous. That's key,
mhm.
because a lot of people start reminding folks, but they come off self-righteous in their
Yes.
reminding, as if they didn't never make a mistake, or they never acted other than themselves, or they never said this, or they never said that. No, 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 no. That's being self-righteous.
Mhm,
We just want to be a reminder, because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said reminders are good for the believers. So you simply enjoin your brother or sister the truth by being a reminder of what we should be doing. So if we can just be reminders, and if we can operate from the foundation of love, not trying to expose nobody, not trying to embarrass nobody, not trying to put nobody out on Front Street, because we love to catch somebody slipping and then
mm.
screenshot them or take the video and pull it off so we can go and we can drop it in a group chat somewhere, or we can report it up to national somewhere, or
Mhm,
or we can put it up on a channel and call ourselves exposing and dropping this. No, no, that's not what we supposed to be doing. If you coming from a place of love, if you coming from a place of trying to expose somebody, then you got something else going on in your heart
mm.
that needs to be worked out. But if you're coming from a place of love, you're not going to want to expose. You're not going to want to put your brother or sister on Front Street. In the military, you cover down on your brother. You
Yes.
cover down on your sister. So if they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing, or acting other than themselves, then the proper way to handle it and to go about it is you cover down and you be a reminder. And I think that's the best way for us to hold ourselves accountable, hold the brotherhood accountable, hold the sisterhood accountable.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All praises is due to Allah. Beautiful response again. Thank you for that. So,
Yes, ma'am.
what do you what do you believe? Um, because there's so many different vices that can hold a man down. Um, I want to say from being the man that they are supposed to be. But what do you believe is the cause of the falling away of man's duty to himself and his family?
Mm. Well, I want to read one of those 12 traits from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that he laid out in the leadership traits, because I think this is important. And I think it'll help with answering the question. And this is when it comes to service to others.
Mm,
So the minister says, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that a leader must be a chief servant. Jesus said, I came not into the world to be served, but I came to serve others. Do you know that every time the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan comes to answer the phone, when he gets on the phone, listen to his words. Assalamu alaikum. How may I serve you? Every single time he gets on the phone. How may I serve you? Dame Dash posted a picture on Instagram at one point where he was at the farm in Michigan with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was taking him on a tour showing Mr. Dash the greenhouse. In one of the photos taken, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is in a golf cart. Damon Dash is sitting in the passenger seat, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is driving the car.
Mm.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is not only the honorable, but he's also the humble. He didn't have somebody drive them around. He was driving his guests,
Mm.
chief servant. Whenever we seek leadership, brothers, we should never seek leadership with the goal of looking for a post to get some privileges, but we should want a post so that we can have a platform that we can perform better than we are performing at currently at a higher level wherever we are located. So I think one of the things that hinders the brothers is the fact that we want to be served before being a servant. When you see a lot of the stuff going on social media and everything like that, the brothers is dropping in like what you bringing to the table. You see what I'm saying? What you got to offer me.
Mm.
This is the language that is currently out here in society. That's not the language and that's not the modus operandi that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan operates from. He operates from the mindset of a servant. So Minister Nuri just said that every time the minister answers the phone, he says, Assalamu alaikum, how may I serve you? Servant. Example, he had Dame Dash out at the farm. And the minister could have had somebody driving them around while the minister gave Dame Dash a tour. But the minister drove the golf cart, drove Dame Dash around. Now, I know many of us in any type of position of leadership, you want to be driven around, even if
Mm-hmm.
when it going to prom. Going to prom, you got to have a chauffeur. You want to be chauffeured around. You know how it is. We get into a post, we get a little buzz on social media. People invite you to speak somewhere. You can't drive nowhere now. So you got to be driven around. You got to have somebody scoop you from the airport. All that got to be going on. But that's
Mm-hmm.
not that's not how the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is operating. It's chief servant first. And if you want to be a well-made man, as Minister Nuri talks about in his book, then you have to be a chief servant. So I think that's one of the areas that the brothers are struggling in when it comes to stepping up to the plate and being able to lead. Another one of the traits is you must love to lead. That's a good one.
Mm.
You
Yes,
can't
it
want to
is.
be served and you don't love to lead the people. So the minister said, well, Brother Nuri's going into it here with the minister. He said the number one trait, this is the number one trait that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that we must have is if we are going to be a good leader, is the understanding that leadership is much more about influence than it's about instruction.
Mm.
Because a person has a post or a position that gives them the authority to instruct only, but another person may have no post or position, but because of their love, their spirit, and their intelligence, they have influence. That one with influence can be a better leader than the one that instructs because the one that has influence is not making or forcing anyone by way of the position to do anything. The one with influence is operating in such a way that they pique the interest or pique the interest in other people where other people want to do personally. They personally desire what that other person is doing and to be like that person is. So they are asking, how did you become you? So that's the difference between how a lot of the brothers operate now. In our households, you want to be instructing somebody to do something. You want to be forcing somebody to do something. You want to come in like a national championship football coach, and you think you're talking to the players in your household,
Mm.
and that's how you talking to the people that live in your household. You think you're an NBA coach or a football coach or something like that, a military drill sergeant in the Marines. And this is how you talking to the people. This is how you handle your men as a lieutenant. And then you wonder why you don't get no response.
Mm.
Minister Nuri says the one that may not have the post but has the love. and has the spirit and has the intelligence, they have influence,
Yes.
and they'll be able to lead better than the person that's instructing. So it's important that the brothers have to get training. The brothers have to get training, and we all have to be re-educated, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us. But it's extremely important, because we're talking on the subject of black men, that we get re-educated and get acquainted with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Because it is through those teachings that you have the example of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And if we are following his example and you want to be like that man, then you have to get in the class. You have to follow the teaching. You have to get under what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is under, and that will produce the results that you see from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Because I don't think nobody can deny that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is that man. He's him. You know, you got rappers, you got athletes, you got entertainers, you got presidents, you got all that. Though none of them hold a anything to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Nothing. Nothing. And brothers, that's how we should be striving to be. And then you'll receive all of the love, all of the adulation, all of the, benefits of, following the example of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Woo! That was fire right there. Lord. Our praises is due to a lot. Thank you so much for that, Brother Cam. You really broke it down. Broke
Yes,
that
man.
down to a T.
All praises due to Allah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if you all are enjoying this episode just as well as I am, please show your support by donating today to Cash App $ Healing with Angelica to help sustain future episodes just like this. Also, if you all are enjoying all of the broadcasts on Closing the Gap Broadcast Network, please show your support by donating today. Information to donate will be on the screen below. I love you all. Now let's get back to today's show. What is the role of the black man to break generational curses with our brother King Cam? So I see we have a question here from a brother, Sean Scott. Assalamu alaikum, brother. So he asks, how important do you think the role of addressing your mental health is in breaking generational curses? And do you have any information on Dianetics?
So I'm gonna answer the last part first. If the
Mhm.
brother's interested in Dianetics, then I would suggest that he go to his local mosque or study group and talk with the brothers and sisters there, because they should be able to point him in the right direction as far as Dianetics is concerned. The second, the first part of the question, how important is addressing your mental health? That's extremely important. If you look at a lot of the vets, military vets that come home from war, the one of the major ailments that they suffer from is mental illness, especially if they was in one of those big wars where there was a lot of killing going on. It wasn't like a cold war or anything like that. Like, it was a hot war. People were dying, and they saw a lot of death. A lot of people, they went through boot camp, they went through training camp, was killed. So they saw a lot of different things, and they were mentally traumatized by that. We know the impact and the effects of the transatlantic slave trade that has matriculated through generational
Mm.
aspects of our people because of the mental trauma. And we know that mental trauma has the ability to seep into the genetics of a person, and this is how it becomes generational, because we wasn't there to see it, but because it is innately put into our genetics, then we still suffer from those mental illness and that mental trauma. So post-traumatic slave disorder, PTSD.
Yes.
So with those examples, we have to make sure that we addressing those, because what you will find, really, 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 when you really are in the people business and you start talking to people and engaging people, and really through these teachings, especially through the self-improvement study guides and through lectures of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and you do self-reflection, then it goes back to a trauma that took place somewhere in our life. It might not have been a childhood trauma, or it could have been a childhood trauma, but somewhere in our life, something took place that mentally scarred us. And
Mm,
it now sits there, and whenever certain circumstances or situations or things are said, it triggers us and to behave or to react in a particular manner. And it's because we haven't dealt with that trauma.
mm,
And this is why our relationships in our community are so toxic, because both male and female have unaddressed traumas that they have not checked, and they bring it to a relationship. So when the female is acting like the mother that was absent in the life of the brother, he responds in a particular type of way. When the
mm,
brother is acting like the man that abused his sister when she was younger, then she responds in a particular type of way, and then we start to lash out against one another, and then that leads to other things. Ultimately, violence ensues, and this is why majority of the homicides are domestic in our community, because of the toxic relationships.
mm,
If you go to your town hall meetings, then your town hall meetings and the representatives in your county and your city and the police chief will come on and he'll give you the numbers. They'll tell you that majority of the homicides are domestic, meaning you live together with the person that just died.
mm,
So most of us are having these problems, and it stems from unchecked and unaddressed traumas. So because therapy has been taboo in our community, then we don't get it addressed. You got a lot of brothers who've been to prison who've seen a lot of stuff. A lot of brothers seen other people been get raped in prison. Brothers been raped in prison. They done seen people get killed in prison. They done had to kill people in prison. Brothers done been in the streets. They done killed people. Sisters done been in the streets and killed people and did all type of stuff. Done been through all type of traumatic stuff. Been homeless. Been pimped. Been beat. Been raped. Been abused. All of that stuff is sitting up inside of us. And if
mm,
we don't clear it, that's one of the words they use in Dianetics. If you don't clear it, then what happens is anytime those circumstances you get put in a particular type of environment, it's going to constantly trigger a certain type of response. And this is why our relationships are toxic. So addressing our mental illness is extremely important. So whether that's getting therapy, whether that's doing Dianetics, whether that's doing both, because I think that both are helpful. I am in the process of doing some auditing myself. Anybody that's black in America needs to get an auditing session.
mm. Yes, sir.
Anybody that's black in America needs to get an auditing session in, and you should definitely have a therapist to
Mm,
talk about what's going on in your life. Because if you have studied the sojourn of the black man and black woman in America, then you know it's hell on wheels from day one. So we should most definitely be addressing our mental health issues in any way that you see fit. Therapy, I believe, is a surface level way to address the issues, and then the auditing is what gets deep, deep, deep to actually address the source and then clear that source. And I believe that's something that we should do on a regular basis, and we'll be able to operate and function better after we go through these sessions and get past these traumas that have stopped us from being productive in our lives. Because you have people that are 50, 60, 70 years old who have not lived the life that they wanted to live, and it stems from a trauma that has held them back, has
mm,
paralyzed them from being able to move forward. They wasn't able to invest in business because of a particular trauma, because they were afraid to trust people. They wasn't able to step out on a limb and to ask for a promotion at their job because they suffer from trust issues. All of these different things take place and they stop you from being productive. So this is why addressing the mental health is so important. So I pray that answered the question. All praises
whew.
due to Allah.
That was a mouthful. Like, beautiful, because that is one of the things that I believe is like we have to address mental health. Even like from what you said, just from just the effects of post traumatic slave. Is it? It's called post traumatic slave disorder.
Post traumatic stress disorder, post
There's
traumatic slave disorder.
slave.
Yes, all of
It
those.
it goes all the way back, And just because we wasn't born in that time, it's that line of generation that passes on those traumas, and like they say in Dianetics, them engrams,
Them
you know,
engrams.
because
That's
some
right.
so sometimes, you know, it can start in the womb. So I think even though this is the topic for the man, it's like you said, all black people need to get that.
All black
If it
people need
is
to get that.
therapy or Dianetic, I think, like you said, both is actually very valuable. So thank you so much for addressing that, Brother Cam. All praises is due to Allah. I
Yes,
see
ma'am.
here we also have another question here from our beautiful sister Tamora.
Okay, okay, okay. Shout out to Sister
So,
Tamar. Shout out to the collective. Man, shout out to all of them who may be joining and watching the live feed. Shout out to the power call as well. Man,
yes.
just shout out to all of the family that may be tuned in.
Yes, yes, yes. You all are doing an amazing job. The power call with Brother Ben, the collective
Yes,
group.
ma'am.
I love
Ma'am.
it. You guys are really doing the work, and I love it. Our praises is due to Allah. So
Praise
I
the be
see
to Allah.
Sister Tamara. Assalamu alaikum, brother Zaki. Did I say right?
Yes. Mhm.
Zaki? How are you breaking the generational curses in your life?
Wow, that's a powerful question. To answer that question, I believe that the way I'm breaking the generational curses in my life is, I think doing what I'm doing now. You know, being a registered member in the Nation of Islam has allowed me to accomplish a lot of things that I don't believe I would have accomplished in another field of endeavors, if you will. So, I have had the opportunity to, speak before the people. I've had an opportunity to meet different individuals. I've had an opportunity to be in different environments. And I have been blessed through the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to be an example, I believe, to my household as well as to my city where I originally was born and raised, to be able to elevate myself and be able to gain a level of success, if you will, without having to sell your soul or sell out your people. So I think that's extremely valuable. And as we continue on this road of self-improvement, which is the basis for community development, I think we'll be able to continue to elevate financial literacy, understanding more and more about the opportunities that exist, exploring different industries, and being able to you know increase the bag, which is always a beautiful thing, because we understand that financial freedom is definitely a part of the program. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, "Do for self." So, in order to be able to do that, you got to have some finances. So, being able to,
Mm-hmm.
take that those opportunities and then share those opportunities with others is extremely important. So, I believe that's how I'm able to break the generational curses, and inshallah, we'll continue to do so.
Ooh, I love it, brother. So grateful for you, man. So grateful that you are actually applying. See, that's the thing. You know, we get these teachings, we get the juice, but we're not applying it. And just you telling us what you're doing to break generational curses is showing and proving that you're actually applying the teachings in your
All
life.
praise
So,
to Allah.
yes, all praises is due to Allah. Let's see here if we did have another question here. Didn't see we have another question, but I do have another question here for you, Brother King Cam. Now,
Okay.
due to the lack of duty taken on by our black men
You
as a
said
black
duties?
duties, yes.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I said a lot of dues. So I said due to the lack of duties taken on by our black man as a black woman, is there anything we can do to aid our black men in the rebuilding of a strong nation?
Mm, that's a good question. That's a good question. I would say that being a help meet is extremely important. And the reason why I say that, Minister Nuri on an interview said that the the first most important decision that you'll make in your life after choosing a religion is choosing the mate. So that is so important because if you don't have the right mate, then what's going to happen is you only going to be able to accomplish, half of what your potential is.
Mm.
Now, that half that you've accomplished may be a whole lot to somebody that don't have nothing. So it could seem like you have accomplished a lot, but we know that as Muslims, marriages have our faith. So being able to have a helpmeet that understands the mission and that has the same mission that you have in life is extremely important because then it provides synchronicity within the household. It provides, alignment in the thoughts and the ideas of how the children are raised and, how we go about the work of the resurrection of the dead, the importance of the level of conversation that we have around the teachings, why study is important, and why conversating and peeling back the layers of the teaching as we go through constant self-improvement is very important to our ability to be successful in the mission. So these things are all necessary. And we have to make sure that we're using our platforms and using our influence to encourage people to understand the importance of unity.
Mm.
I talked about this last night at the mosque. Part of my lecture was in reference to unity and justice. And unity and justice actually go hand in hand. Because the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us that our unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb, and that our unity is what's going to allow us to obtain justice. The Holy Quran says that Allah changes not the condition of a people until they first change it themselves. Well, us on our own trying to change our condition is not going to work
Mm.
because it's too much of a condition that the enemy has put us in for only one person or one organization or one group of people to be able to change. So, because God has given all of us gifts and talents to bring to the liberation fight, then we have to unify together with like minded individuals and start to do something for ourselves, and then the God will make us successful. But
Yes.
we have to be unified in doing so. So that's extremely, extremely important. So the reason why I brought up unity is because the black woman has to be on accord with the black man. There are a lot of forces that are working to keep us divided. As I mentioned earlier, when we talked about the mental health piece and our relationships being toxic, well, not only are our relationships toxic just off of the strength of our own unchecked mental traumas, but then you have those who are working to drop seeds in the ears of black women and in the seeds, drop seeds in the ears of black men to keep us divided from one another. So they have us joining all these different movements. They got black women thinking that she a feminist now, and she done ran over there to that movement. You got all these other movements of modern women, and you got high value men, and all these different movements around that's keeping us separated.
Yes.
And as long as they keep us separated and keep us dumb to the fact that the fight that we have is a fight that affects not only black men or black women, but both, including the black family, then we have to stand and fight together. And what the enemy has done has effectively weaponized the black woman against the black man. So you can have a black man who is torn down in public, who is character assassinated in the public, and the number one cheerleader, the number one person on the front lines that's going to be cheering for the fall of that black man is going to be a black woman. We see it on social media each and every day. So it's important for us to be non-judgmental. And that was one of the traits that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan spoke on. One of those 12 traits of a well-made man is to be non-judgmental. And the minister says that we must be non-judgmental. What does it mean to be non-judgmental? To be judgmental means to make a moral judgment, which does not mean that we walk around stupid and let anything go. I
Mm.
mean, Allah is going to judge them. No, you have the obligation to protect the community, but it is reported that Prophet Muhammad said that no one in the community is held accountable for the wrong of another until they know the wrong of the other and do not report it to those who can fix it. The
Mm.
minute that we know of what someone is doing in the community that is wrong, and we do not do something about it, we inherit the consequences that wrongdoer would get.
Mm.
So the minister goes into a story, but then the minister says this here. He says, or Minister Nuri says this. What the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is saying to us is that we don't make a moral judgment of or condemnation of a person. No matter how grave an offense might be, none of us are qualified to judge another. The
Mm.
scripture says, where there is life, there is hope. As long as Allah God, who takes souls by night, has decided to return a brother or a sister's soul, that they can wake up in the morning, which means that by the fact that they woke up in the morning, that Allah God still believes in them and in their ability to achieve the rank that He predetermined for them before they were even in their mother's womb. So we have to be non-judgmental of our people, and what social media has done, what a lot of these major blog sites like Shade Room and Baller Alert that post a lot of gossip and post a lot of people's bedroom affairs and personal life on social media to be scrutinized, and we as the people sit back and judge our brothers and sisters of those different situations, and it creates a picture of them in the public, which we condemn them and help the enemy in successfully bringing them down. So we have to not be judgmental of our brothers and sisters family. The black woman has to see that the hidden hand at play and understand that in our culture, the black man and the black woman work together as one that builds strong black families. There
Mm.
are no men out in front and women in the back. There are no men, powerful men oppressing the women. That's not our way. The feminist movement grew out of white patriarchy, and that's not our way. But we're connected to that because some of us are not able to discern when the enemy has come among us to create that division. So we have to be watchful, and we have to make sure that we have each other back. So non-judgmental and working together as a team in unity will get us justice.
Mm. All praises are due to Allah. Unity
All
is
praise
so
to it.
important. It's so valuable, and I can definitely bear witness to seeing the effect of how social media and just the things that we see on social media is keeping a black woman and a black man divided. Just even the system that they have came up with was just, I want to say, you have welfare and child support and how they want to keep the black man out of the homes. So of
Absolutely.
course
Absolutely.
the
That's another good point that you brought up. The fact that the only way that black women can get assistance is if the black man is absent.
exactly.
Now, you see all of the mechanisms that are in place to keep the black man absent. You have mass incarceration, you have drugs, you have alcohol, and then on top of that, you say, well, for the sisters who have lost their men to drugs and alcohol and to mass incarceration for crime, they say, well, we need help. And they say, okay, well, we'll help you, but you can't bring another black man into the picture.
Yes.
We'll help you, but you can't bring the father of your children into that household. So it continues the cycle of broken families. And we have to recognize that, and we have to unite so that we can rise above.
Yes, yes. I'm so glad you just picked up on that because that's one thing. Like I said, I see that the most. So yeah, we definitely have to change our perspective on how we move forward, just in helping and breaking the generational curses. So all praises is due to Allah. I do have one more question for my dear brother before we end today's program. I pray you all are enjoying this program. Brother King Kim have been given so many jewels. I am
All
definitely
praise.
going to go back and listen to this like I do all the time. So,
Yes,
all
ma'am.
praises is due to Allah. So, what advice would you give to our Black men about how they can start being more dutiful in their roles to bring about a healing to our nation?
Yes, great question. And I'm gonna say what I've been educated to say, which is make all men and boys join the FOI. That's just real. That's just real talk. You know, people say, "Oh well, that's cookie cutter." Make all men and boys join the FOI, and then what? Well, this is what it means when it says make all men and boys join the FOI. Make all men and boys join the FOI means that you are connecting the male member of your family to a brotherhood, which is extremely
Yes.
important. It's connecting him to a community, connecting him to a group or a body of people that he can fellowship with, where he can discuss issues that he might can't discuss with you.
Yes.
He has to have an outlet for the things that affect black men. That's extremely important. There's not enough safe spaces that exist for black men to have an opportunity to walk through and talk to the different things that they go through in their life. So that is one way that we are able to make all men and boys join the FOI. The second thing is, as a man, naturally, you are going to be aggressive. You have testosterone, and you have to have an outlet to let that aggression out. You are a natural protector and a provider. And in order to protect and provide, you have to be able to defend yourself, and you have
Mm.
to be able to defend your family. So, in order to do so, you have to be trained. So, joining the FOI allows you to train. So now you're able to tap in with brothers who are participating in proficient black belts and master teachers of different sciences of fighting that will teach you different skills that will allow you to be able to protect yourself and to protect your family. Not only do you exercise physically, but you're able to exercise mentally as well.
Mm.
So that's an outlet for you, not just playing football, not just playing basketball. Nothing wrong with those, because I play both of those, right? Nothing wrong with any outdoor activities, but making sure that you are able to defend yourself and defend your family is extremely important, because training in a particular science will give you the confidence that when you go out in the world, that any threat that presents itself, you're able to neutralize the threat. So that's very important as well when it comes to making all men and boys join the FOI. And then the last thing I would say about making all men and boys join the FOI is that accountability factor that we talked about earlier in the show, because now you're around a group of brothers who are striving to follow the example of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So any type of funny business that come around, we're able to sniff it out quickly, and then we can
Mm.
hold you accountable for the slick movements and the slickness that you got going on, your snake-like tendencies. We able to carve that out, and we able to go ahead and address it like men address it, so that we able to straighten ourselves up, and we able to call you out on some of that stuff and say, brother, that's not how that's supposed to go. Because when you get around individuals who have not strived to change their life, then they'll justify you in your actions. They'll
Yes.
justify you in the things that you do, because it's the same thing that they doing. So if they feel justified in what they do, they're not gonna pull your coattail on the things that you're doing. So being around in an environment of brothers who are striving to do for self, to become financially free, to live righteous lives, and be in faithful marriages and things of that nature. Then when anytime you doing some slick, slimy, grimy, different things where you sneaking and geeking out here in the streets, then people are gonna be able to call that out and say, hey, look, bro, that's not how we rolling. This is what you need to do. Let's go ahead and clean this up so that we can move forward. So make all men and boys join the FOY, and you'll see a change in the community overnight.
Woo! So beautiful. You ended that so well. Definitely. I definitely believe that. Inshallah, when my son gets older, that's definitely where he's going to be
Oh
with you
yeah,
guys.
with the FOY. With the FOY, yes, ma'am. All
Yes,
praise is
sir.
due
Yes,
to Allah.
sir. All praises are due to Allah, Brother King Count. Thank you so much for joining me today to
Thank
discuss
you.
this great topic. Yes, sir. What is the role of the black man to break generational curses? I would also like to thank our amazing audience and Healing Tribe for joining us today.
Shout
I
out
pray
to the
that this
Healing Tribe. Shout out to the Healing Tribe. Yes, ma'am.
Ye- Yes, sir. I pray that this episode was informative, valuable, and healing to you all. Also, be sure to share, like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes on your favorite podcast station. Closing the Gap Broadcast Network on Facebook and YouTube. And before I continue, Closing the Gap Broadcast Network has another YouTube channel. Unfortunately, our other first YouTube channel with most of our people has gotten canceled, unfortunately. But we do have another YouTube channel, Closing the Gap Broadcast Network. See, I think it's just CTGB. So you guys can, if you're not subscribed on there or will subscribe to the old one, please go and subscribe to the new YouTube channel that we have on there. Also, Healing with Angelica's podcast on Facebook and YouTube to help get the message out to those in need of healing. Also, if you are ready to start your healing journey, I am offering a copy of my ebook, Heal Yourself, for sale now for $9.99. More information to purchase will be shown in today's show notes, including more information from today's guest, Brother King Cam. And also, before we end today's show, I would like to give a special recognition to those that have donated to make my work in this show one of the best. Special recognition to Sister I always say her name wrong.
Heck of a Mecca.
Heckaba Mecca.
Yeah, that's Big Mecca right there. Put some respect on it. That's Big Mecca right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love that, sister. All praises due to Allah.
All praises due
Special
to it.
recognition to Dr. Lawrence X, Sister Toya X, Brother Kenneth, and also
Praise
Brother
to
Raheem Elijah Zad that has helped in contributing to the great work of healing. So just want to give you guys
praise
a
be to it.
special recognition. I love you all. Now, Brother King Cam, we can talk all day. You've been spitting so many jewels, so many gems. Listen here.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any closing remarks for our audience today?
Um, I would say that we need to make sure that we are supporting Black media. You mentioned the fact that YouTube channel had been taken down, family. So this is why, podcasts like this are so important. Brother Ben X podcast, Shifting the Culture podcast, hosted by yours truly. All of the Black media needs to be supported heavily, where you're able to not have your podcast solely relying upon these social media networks. You have to get to a place where you're able to stream live with your own domain, similar to what InfoWars does. So when Alex Jones was taken off of social media, all of the true supporters who were tapped into InfoWars can simply go to his website, and then they're able to watch all of the live streams and episodes that Alex Jones continues to do. And we as Black media have to do the exact same thing. We have to
Yes.
support our brothers and sisters who are putting together platforms and are consistently putting out content that build audiences, so that those audiences are supposed to pour back into that platform, that helps that platform move to a place of ownership, because ownership is extremely key in being free. You can't be
Yes.
free and you don't own anything. You can't be free depending on your enemy's platforms to get your message out that's speaking out against your enemy. You can't
Mm.
depend on the enemy's platforms to keep the videos of you teaching the Black man and the Black woman to rise and giving them knowledge of self and knowledge of the God and knowledge of the time and what must be done and love for self and the knowledge of the enemy. The enemy don't want to hear none of that. They want to see shooting, killing, stealing. They don't mind you making cooking videos or makeup videos or lifestyle videos with foreign cars and money and all. They don't care about you doing none of that. But if you want to
Mm-hmm.
get on here and teach the people and change the condition of the oppressed, they're gonna have a problem with that. So we have to
Yes.
support Black media. So I would definitely say let's just make sure that we working double hard with doing that, whether it's through donations, but also through the purchasing of subscriptions and the purchasing of merch. Anything that you can do to support your favorite Black media outlet, then do so that they can stay consistent in putting out the content that's different from the mainstream media and what they're putting out. So I would say that, family, and making all men and boys join the FOI. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Brother King Cam. I am the host of Shifting the Culture podcast. This was a Shifting the Culture moment being on this podcast, being able to, speak with Sister Angelica X on her beautiful platform. So this was definitely a moment etched in history. We shifting the culture. Everything that you see going down today
Yes.
and yesterday and beyond. And I mentioned yesterday because we have to shout out our brothers and sisters in Montgomery, Alabama, that held it down, that was up, that was rising, had the spirits of the ancestors, whatever you want
Yeah.
to call it. Our people was rising up, and that's we the
Hmm.
dry bones in the valley that are now shaking. Family, see, we that Lazarus that was dead for 4 days, but the
Oof.
Jesus done called us forth now. So now we are awakening and rising out up out of the grave of ignorance to a living perpendicular. We are literally witnessing the resurrection of the dead, and that's shifting the culture, family. So you can
Yes.
follow me on all platforms at Brother King Cam. Follow the podcast is Shifting the Culture, streaming on all podcast streaming platforms. New episodes are uploaded each and every Friday by 12 p.m. So be looking out for this latest episode coming this Friday. You can check it out for those who listen to podcasts on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, whatever the case may be. You can also click the link in my bio on my Instagram page. You can purchase my book called The Enemy is the Inner Me: 4 Ways to Stop Self-Destructive Behavior, where I kind
Mm.
of go through my personal journey of being able to overcome some obstacles and how I apply what I learned in the self-improvement study guides to be able to overcome those different obstacles. So you want to do that, and if you're interested in tech and you want to learn how you can break into tech on the entry level, then you can click the link in my bio as well for the affiliate link called Course Careers Affiliate, and you can start your journey there today.
Ooh. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love it. Please, like my brother said, we gotta support our brothers and sister, man. His
Got to.
podcast, Shifting the Culture, is so beautiful. He speaks nothing but truth and light and healing. And like you said, we have to really start understanding that because we're in this field of the resurrection of the dead, we're gonna have our ops and we're gonna have people trying to stop us, but we got to keep it going. But what keeps us going is the unity. So make sure you support my brother King Cam. He's doing a beautiful work, and all of our beautiful people here in the Nation of Islam, and just our Black people in general. Keep
That's
the
right.
keep the keep the unity flowing.
Gotta keep the unity flowing. Have to keep the unity flowing. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention the fact that I again have to shout out my brothers and sisters on the front lines, the soldiers that's always rolling with me and rolling with each other, working in unity in the collective as we are in these
Yes.
internet streets and on these social media battlefields, creating Twitter spaces and clubhouse rooms and all of those different type of things to educate our people and lead them to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and dispel a lot of the ops commentary and propaganda that they put out there against us. So, man, shout out to the collective. Make sure you follow the collective, and that's CXLLECTIVE, the collective, on social media platforms as well.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it, Brother King Cam. Thank you so much again for joining us today. Thank you, my beautiful healing tribe and family, for joining us as well. I love you all, and we leave you all as we came. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, healing,
Alaikum
and light.
salam. Peace.